Peace, family. So I'm back with another one. Today what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk to my chosen ones about how they will always avoid the elephant in the room. And we have our own way and process we go about handling and managing that elephant that's in the room. But in today's society and dealing with all of this switchy sauce we got to deal with out here, a lot of beings we already know are using the wrong playbook. Then we have a lot that just haven't worked on self and some of the important principles, values, and things that we should know as far as our roles in this spiritual, in this physical realm. The elephant in the room is going to be that situation that happened between you and that being, or a situation or something that has occurred outside of you guys, but both of you guys are aware. One of you guys' energy has been affected in a certain kind of way. The elephant is that big, obvious thing that's sitting in the middle of the living room that everyone who is comfortable with being awkward will just completely walk around it and not address this elephant that doesn't belong in the living room. You will have a lot of situations like this in real life where people will do things to you or around you, and you will go to communicate with them. You are aware of whatever the situation may be, meaning the elephant, and they know of the elephant, but they will never address it. It will always be on you to either address the elephant or postpone it and figure out another way to come back around to it. But most of us, we don't like being around people and having that weird, awkward energy in the air. That's usually what the elephant is. When you start going around people, when they talk about walking on eggshells, eggshells is just another form of people who avoid the elephant in the room. If you process an elephant being in your living room, and just a regular sized living room, not no big mansion where it's a whole lot of space, just a regular sized living room, you understand that that elephant is going to take up a large amount of space. It's going to make you have to rearrange your whole setup that you have going on in there just to compensate for having this elephant in the room. I've had examples and situations where I might be engaging with somebody, and let's say like we was supposed to do something like get up and build on some ideas, or we're supposed to just link, or I was just supposed to engage with them so we can kind of get some ideas thrown out there and worked out. Numerous situations. And these beings would do something similar, like not respond and wait a couple days, reach back out to me and communicate with me as if not anything had transpired in between that time. And I've also had people do this outside of just like reaching out through this technology, but also in the form of real life. You know what I mean? Like I might be at work and then something happened at one of these build jobs, plantations, something happened. I'll leave and then I come back the next day, and then it's all awkward when I'm engaging with somebody. And I already understand what it is because I always process my situations, everything that I've been through throughout the day. It's always kind of like a daily routine to kind of recap the day. All right, let me see, what did I put in my body today? What kind of food, liquids did I put in my body? How many people did I engage with? What kind of people did I engage with? How was those engagements that I had with these people? What kind of energy, vibration did each being leave behind? You know, that's usually my normal process. So it flows like water. But when I have to deal with people who have a hard time addressing the elephant, it always makes you come off as though like either you're too emotional, you care too much, or they have this thing where it's like you're attacking them. And it's like, it's not really an attack if you're just trying to get some clarity in the spiritual realm as far as why this energy frequency is still lingering. You know what I mean? If my station when I come around is 92.7 and your station is 101.3, that's how it normally is when we mingle, but then we have a weird situation happen, you know what I mean? And now all of a sudden our stations, when we mix together, and now it's on like 103. You know what I mean? It's like we know it's something going on in between there in the spiritual realm, which is causing the energy to be all stagnated and to have way more uncertainty and unclarity and uneasy vibes behind it. You don't know how many times I've had people just get frustrated or mad or make it seem like I'm trying to paint them as a bad guy or a picture, when really, if it's a situation, that means that I have some accountability in there as well too. But when you deal with people who don't take accountability, then it doesn't matter if you take accountability for yours. It's still always going to come off as an attack or as if you're belittling them or trying to beat them down. But you never can get clarity if you always avoid the elephant in the room, you know? And one thing about moving with the Creator and them high vibes is we don't like to deal with a whole lot of uncertainty that's not from the Creator. You know, things like what came first, the chicken or the egg. That's unclear and uncertain, but these are things that we don't ponder or have to process a long time because we understand that some information is not for us to know. And let this plane pass. Some information is not for us to know. But us having this human experience, we feel like we're more intelligent than the source, the one that created this whole beautiful space that we take up, that we migrate and that we call our home as far as why we're here. It's going to be extremely difficult having or continuing relationships with people who avoid the elephant. And I processed when I was saying that, it's kind of like, you know, they use the egg shells because it's like it kind of builds up to an elephant. You know, the first time you avoid the elephant, it's just, you can process that, okay, that's one little egg. Next time you avoid the elephant, that's 2 little eggs. And as you keep ignoring it, now you got a whole dozen case. Soon it's just like you don't even know where to step or walk at because it's either too many eggs or the elephant just have confiscated the whole room. And you're not going to ever be able to grow or have any real, healthy, organic, genuine relationships with that kind of vibe. And you got to remember, too, and kind of process, like, would you want to intentionally hold or have that energy lingering? Probably and usually not, which is why we are normally the ones who have to address the elephant that's in the room. And the main reason why we address it is because we want to, for one, get clarity on that energy frequency that's there, and 2, depend on our relationship with you, depend on if we want to separate more or if we feel like it's something that, okay, we could just kind of sweep this dust up real quick, get a dustpan, put in the trash can, and we can kind of keep it moving. Because people do make mistakes, you know what I mean? But it's a difference between when you become avoidant, and I know that's like a big talk in like the mental health realm as far as like having an avoidant attachment style and all these other things. But when you're moving with the Creator, you're not in no avoidant state. That's not something that you process. You know, you understand how much love, light, you understand how much more you have to give to the universe. People always feel like we're giving to people individually. Yes, we are on a lower level, but on the bigger level and on the grand scheme of things, we're giving back to the universe. You know what I mean? Small note, it was like one day I gave the homeless guy, I was going through a while, I was like, let me see if I got some ones in here, because I pulled up on the light. And everybody knows if you in the first 2-3 cars, when you pull up there, you just kind of feel a little bit extra guilty, because now it's like, damn, you sitting in the car in your space. And then, you know, I hate calling them homeless because they have a home, which is this realm. But my process when I'm trying to communicate outwardly, I try to use the most simplified words that people can correlate to. But I naturally don't call them homeless. They actually are a little bit more wiser than us because they choose not to follow this, and they stand out in a whole nother manner, you know, and it puts us in a space of judging them as though we're better because we decided to follow these structural rules that society set up, you know. So to a degree, you got to look at all of us that's following the structure kind of like students who got indoctrinated to a degree, you know. It's just some of us figured out the game. So we like, all right, I'm going to get in here. I'm going to do my classwork, but when it's test time, I got Sally over here, I got Tim over here, because I don't really give a fuck about school, but I know I gotta be in this process, you know what I mean? That's just part of the flow. But I gave him $5 because that was the smallest bill I had on me at the time, and I was just thinking, I usually like giving like between 1 and 3, you know, that's my process. But this day, that's all I had, so I gave him the 5. I was like, could have used that for, you know, your process. Anytime you putting out money in today's society, it's almost like it hurts when you give out money. If you got to spend money, if you doing anything, it hurts. I'm making the story long. Long story short, a couple hours later, I do some driving part-time as well too. Like, I'm all over the fields. And I was dropping an order off, and I had someone give me, they was like, hold on a minute. And they just went back in the house, came back outside. Extra tip on top of the other tip that was there, and they put a 5 on it. I'm just like, look at the universe. You know what I mean? It had to be the exact same bill that I put out that came back around. It wasn't about me giving it to that being. It was about me giving to the universe, you know? But all of this comes with just kind of staying in an abundance mind state and understanding, like, even when you have to deal with people who process, and when we process that elephant in the room, because we already understand when we processing this elephant in the room and these eggshells, most people tell us we come off too hard. Simple process, you know, it's very simple. Even if we didn't come off hard, you could have said it in your nicest, softest, you know, you took as much of what they would have took the wrong energy, you took all of that off and put it in the back in a suitcase, pushed it back in the closet. You made sure you presented it to them as properly as you knew how to, and they still took it and flipped it. But you understand, every time you address that elephant, you are actually doing something that's on a higher frequency than them, because you keep running into this situation with different beings, but then you're always trying to figure out another way to address it, so that way you don't have to avoid it or just kind of cut yourself off or let go of whatever situation it may be completely, because we don't always want to let go of everything right away. You know, it's kind of like when you get down to your last bite of your food. Nobody really gives away that last bite. You'll share your food the whole meal. You might give the first bite, the middle bite, close to the last bite. But once you get to that last bite, you're not sharing that unless you full. Most people is not sharing that last bite. So imagine somebody you was savoring that last bite, and somebody, you got it on the fork knife or the spoon knife, you know, and then somebody just comes and takes it from you, you know, throw it in the trash, or they eat it themselves. You're going to feel a little bit incomplete with your eating ritual, because our eating is a ritual process. So it would throw your balance off. You would get more frustrated about that little piece than you would if they had took the whole plate in the beginning, you know? But we take a lot more steps when it comes to addressing the elephants in the room. It doesn't matter who it's with. It could be a boss at one of these plantations. It could be parents if you younger, you know what I mean? It's going to be your spousal, depending on, I guess, you man or female, depending on how you cooperate, you know what I mean? They're going to always be some kind of witchy sauce in between there that's going to try to keep you in confusion and chaos. People who avoid the elephants and like to leave them there, you can place it as, you know, they're scared of insecurities, but if you that scared and you that insecure, then that means you ain't riding with my team. Because even my team have scarcities and, you know, insecurities, but we understand that, okay, it flows through us and past us, so that way we can continue to keep pushing forward. If we stayed down for every time we felt insecure, we would be 6 feet down or cremated, you know what I mean? But that's not our process. So just understand these things, you know. It's going to be a lot of people that's not going to want to address things. They're going to do things to you and just leave it floating out in the air, you know what I mean, and expect you not to say anything about it. Some people be like, oh, well, I don't care enough to say anything about it. That's cool. That also works too. It just depends on the level you are at in that relationship, you know. So if I've been involved with somebody for a certain period of time, then my caring meter goes up. So then that means I'm a little bit more emotionally invested. Not saying that I'm super emotional, but you know, your energy is in motion. I'm invested. So then it's gonna put them higher up in that space to where it's like, if an elephant does present itself or start taking up space in here, then I'm going to have to address it. You're gonna have to address it. The elephant doesn't live in the house, you know. And your house, when you open your door, it's not full of just fresh eggs laying everywhere on the floor, just waiting for you to tiptoe or figure out how to walk extremely lightly, like you sneaking downstairs to sneak snacks when you little, you know. But it's all a process. And just understand, like, even if they start blaming you for addressing the elephant in the room, if they was moving with the creator, it wouldn't be so much friction, because they would understand that you trying to get some clarity to that vibration that's in the invisible world that you feel is present. These are the spaces all these weird people like to avoid, and they don't like the fact that I call them out, that you call them out, that we call them out, that we address these things, you know. And that's just something that we're going to have to continue to do. You can save yourself, but just imagine how many other people you're saving just by taking action in these little areas. Imagine how many people you can save just by taking action in these little areas. I ain't want to run it up too long though. Tapping everything down below. Actually, before I even do that, shout out my man O Skills. Shout out my man O Skills. I had him on the Godcast. He did the Congo Africa episode. He dropped the hoodies off, and he just came through and dropped the free shirt off, the merch. You know what I'm saying? I always support. Is what I do. I used to have, when I had the Godcast going, I had a bunch of my guests and a bunch of people who had dropped off free merch. You know, I had my banner on the videos that I would show them free support, and I always drop the links down below. You know what I mean? So shout out O Skills on the merch. You know what I mean? So I'll definitely put his link down below. I think he just got some more shirts and stuff in. I don't know if he got the hoodies, but you know, everything will be down in the links. I just made sure I wanted to show him some love on just pulling up on me and dropping it off. You know what I mean? I always appreciate all the love and support in the real lifetime, and I appreciate all the love and support that y'all give. Y'all don't even understand how much that love and support be busting. Some days I just be going on throughout my daily life, and I see the little notification pop up at the top of the iPhone. You know what I mean? Look at the universe sending some love through. It's always noticed, it's always felt, it's always received. You know what I mean? But tap into everything down below. Peace and love to the kings and queens.